Welcome to the third episode of Life is Not Just a Cupcake. I am your host, Heather Rose, and as always, I'm so grateful you're here. This podcast is where we share honest stories, meaningful inspiration, and real conversations about life and its beautiful messes. This holiday season has been a little different for me, maybe for you too. Life's circumstances have shifted, and I have found myself navigating the season with less cheer than I'm used to. I even tried making my own Christmas ornaments, thinking I could spark the holiday spirit with some creativity and tradition. But to my surprise, it just didn't click. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes life doesn't fit the picture-perfect mold or imagine. The holidays can bring so many expectations and deadlines that they leave us feeling drained instead of full of joy. This year I decided to approach things differently, to step back from the hustle, to let go of pressure for perfection, and to focus on giving to myself the gift of grace and love. In today's episode, I want to share my journey through this season, a season that's felt heavy, but also meaningful in unexpected ways. We'll talk about how to embrace grace when the holiday cheer isn't there, and why it's okay to let go of expectation, and how reconnecting with your purpose can bring healing and peace. So if you're feeling burnt out, disconnected, or simply not into the holiday spirit, this episode is for you. Together, let's explore how we can find grace and love even in the hardest season. Rather than pushing myself to meet every holiday expectation this year, I made a choice to step away from the noise and give myself a different kind of gift. This year, I chose to focus on something deeply meaningful to me, my book and this podcast. For as long as I can remember, writing and storytelling has been more than just hobbies. They're how I make sense of the world, how I process the good and the bad, and how I find my way back to myself when life feels overwhelming. This season, more than ever, I felt the pull to lean into my purpose, to let my creativity guide me back to my center. At first, it felt strange to shift my energy away from the usual holiday busyness. I've always tried to be the person who makes everything happen, the traditions, the gifts, the decorations. But this year, I realized that all of those expectations were leaving me feeling more empty than fulfilled. So I decided to stop. I stopped trying to meet the world's version of the holidays and started asking myself what I truly needed. What I needed was time to pour into my book and this podcast, spaces where I can explore my thoughts and emotions, and where I can show up authentically, where I can offer something real to myself and to you. These projects are more than tasks on my to-do list. They've become acts of self-love. And what I've discovered in the process is profound. Sitting down to write or record isn't just about creating something for others. It's about creating space for myself, space to breathe, to reflect, and to reconnect with the deeper parts of who I am. In those quiet moments, I found a kind of healing, but I didn't realize I even needed. When I think about the season, it feels a bit like navigating a stretch of rapids. Life can be chaotic, overwhelming, and relentless, especially when we're in the thick of hard times. But as I poured my heart into my work, I've started to see those rapids differently. They're not just obstacles, they're guides. They've pushed me, challenged me, and carried me to a place where the waters are starting to calm. And now, I can see in those calmer waters, as I look back, how far I've traveled. It hasn't been easy. There have been days when the weight of everything felt like too much, when I questioned whether I was making any progress at all. But then there are moments, small and quiet, when I feel the pieces click into place, when I see the threads of my story coming together. Not perfectly, but beautifully. This work, this deeply personal, intentional work, is my gift to myself. And what I'm learning is that grace isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you grow into. It's in the pauses, in the letting go, and the quiet courage it takes to choose what matters most. Through this process, I found not only a deeper connection to my purpose, but also a deeper connection to myself. And while this holiday season doesn't look anything like I thought it would, I can honestly say that I feel more aligned, more present, and more at peace than I have in a long time. The holidays are often framed as a season of giving to others, giving to traditions, giving to the endless expectations we feel compelled to meet. But how often do we stop to think about what we're giving to ourselves? For so many of us, this time of year has become a whirlwind of running around, checking off lists, and trying to make everything perfect. We're so busy giving that we forget to pause and ask, am I giving from a place of authenticity? Or am I just running on empty? Self-love is one of the most meaningful gifts we can give, not just to ourselves, but to those around us. When we take time to care for ourselves, to rest, to reconnect with what truly matters, we show up to our most authentic selves. And that's a gift far greater than anything wrapped in a bow. This season, I've been reflecting on the idea of presence. Not just being present physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In my last podcast, I talked about the idea of every day is special. It's a concept that has taught me to slow down and savor the little things, the quiet moments, the small joys, and the unspoken connection. These moments remind us that the true gift of this season isn't found in the chaos of doing, but in the art of simply being. Being present with ourselves means listening to what we truly need. It means asking, what would nourish my soul right now? For me, that's been focusing on my book in this podcast. For you, it might look like taking a walk, journaling, or even allowing yourself a quiet evening with no obligation. And being present with others doesn't mean giving the most extravagant gifts or hosting the perfect holiday dinner. It's about showing up with an open heart, looking into someone's eyes, and listening deeply. It's about letting them know they matter to you. Presence is a gift that transcends the material. It's a way of saying, I see you, I value you, and I'm here. I know it can feel hard to shed the idea that we need to give the perfect gift or to be everything for everyone. But what if we flipped the narrative this year? What if instead of stretching ourselves thin, trying to meet impossible expectations, we chose to give the gift of present? Think about it. Could sitting down to truly connect with a loved one be more meaningful than the store-bought gift basket? Could carving out time for yourself, time to breathe, reflect, and just be, offer more fulfillment than checking one more thing off your to-do list? The beauty of self-love and presence is that they ripple outward. When you care for yourself, you create space to show up more fully for others. When you offer someone your undivided attention, you remind them of their worth. These are the gifts that last far beyond the holiday season. So this year, I encourage you to consider how you can give to yourself the gift of self-love and the gift of presence. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated. It's in the little things. The cup of tea savored in quiet, the moment of laughter shared with a friend, the grace you give yourself when things don't go as planned. In the end, these are the moments that stay with us. They're what truly makes this season special. Not the perfect tree, the perfect dinner, or the perfect gift, but the simple, heartfelt connections that remind us of what really matters. If you're feeling like the season is harder than it should be, I want you to know you're not alone. The holidays have a way of bringing both joy and challenges, and sometimes the weight of it all can seem overwhelming. It's okay to feel tired, to step back from the demands and expectations, to pause and to let yourself breathe. One of the most important things I've learned this year is that grace starts with patience. It starts with acknowledging where you are, without judgment, and giving yourself permission to feel whatever it is in your heart. You don't have to fix everything. You don't need a quick solution. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give yourself is simply the space to rest and reconnect with what truly matters. For me, that meant shifting my focus away from what the world says I should be doing during the holidays. Instead, I've chosen to lean into the work that lights me up, my book, this podcast, and the deeper purpose behind both. It hasn't always been easy, but it's been incredibly meaningful. I want to encourage you to do the same. Ask yourself, what would it look like to give yourself grace this season? To let go of the idea of perfection and instead focus on what truly nourishes your heart. Maybe it's giving yourself permission to rest, to say no to things that drain you, or to spend time doing something that fills your soul. Because here's the thing, the holidays aren't about the perfect tree or the most beautifully wrapped presents. They're about connection, to yourself, to the people you love, and to the little moments of peace and joy that remind us of what really matters. It's in the quiet moments, sitting with a loved one, laughing over something silly, or even just watching the snow fall outside your window. That's the true magic of the season. And when we allow ourselves to slow down and be present, we create space for grace, for healing, and for love to take root in our lives. This year has been a teacher in so many ways. It's taught me about grace, about what it means to be patient with yourself, to trust the process even when it feels uncertain, and to let go of the things that no longer serve me. By focusing on my book and this podcast, I have found a sense of healing and purpose that I didn't even know I needed. It hasn't been about chasing perfection or meeting every expectation. It's been about listening to my heart, honoring where I am, and trusting that this journey is leading me somewhere meaningful. And while the holidays still look different for me this year, I feel grateful. Grateful for the chance to slow down, to reflect, and truly connect with myself and what matters most. So as we navigate this season together, I hope my story reminds you that it's okay to let go of what does not serve you. It's okay to show up imperfectly. It's okay to give yourself a gift of grace and trust that love will meet you exactly where you are. I hope you find moments of peace and connection in this season, in the quiet pauses, in the laughter you share with someone you care about, or even in the simple act of giving yourself permission to rest. These moments, no matter how small, are the true gifts of the season. Thank you for being here with me today. I am so grateful to share this space with you, to have this time to connect, to reflect, and to dive deep into the parts of the life that aren't always easy to talk about. I hope this episode has left you feeling seen and supported, and it reminds you that it's okay to feel tired, to step back, and to let go of the pressure to be everything for everyone. The most meaningful gifts, the ones that truly last, aren't wrapped in ribbons or tied up in bows. They're found in the moments of grace we offer ourselves and the connection we nurture with the people who matter most. As you move through this season, I encourage you to think about how you can give yourself and others the gift of presence. Whether it's sitting down to truly listen, taking time to reflect on what brings you joy, or simply offering yourself a moment of rest. These are the gifts that will stay with us long after the holidays are over. If today's episode resonated with you, it would mean so much to me if you shared it with someone who might need to hear this message too. And if you're looking for a little more inspiration, my book, Life is Not Just a Cupcake, is available on Amazon. It's filled with stories and reflections that dive into the messy, beautiful reality of life. And I wrote it with the hope that it will inspire and encourage you to navigate your own journey with grace, love, and courage. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. Your support and presence mean the world. I can't wait to meet you back here next time for another honest, heartfelt connection. Until then, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. And remember, you are worthy of the same love and grace you feel so freely to give others.